Well, hi, hello, and welcome to the Daily Log here for episode 4. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another one of these. I'm your humble host, Mike Mo, here for the fourth entry of the Daily Log. Told you guys I'll be back for another one. So hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday night here at about 10:30. Today was pretty productive day work-wise. I usually don't talk about work, but work's been going interestingly good. We're getting wrapped up for the holiday season last 2 weeks, so next week next week in the in the middle part of week after starts our own little. Um, so I'm all fired up for the last 2 weeks. Sort of sped up this week, especially today. Friday before the holiday rush. The last 2 weeks is usually a pretty big sign. Today was pretty busy. We got to our stuff pretty good, so that was good, and I felt very good. Felt very energetic. Um, it's I think it's time to kick things in full gear and keep the holiday spirit running. So between here and the 31st, it's going to be a lot of fun. Um, so yeah. Um, I'm gonna save my Pokemon Legends Arceus, not Legends Arceus, but Legends ZA critique for another one, maybe on Saturday, maybe tomorrow or Saturday, and then I'll have an announcement video. For those of you who've been with the channel a long time, you guys will know exactly what I'm going to be throwing down tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. Um, so look for that. It's going to be about 5 minutes long and such like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for viewing the GT7 video that I did of the Formula One car. I will have another one coming probably Monday. Um, Monday probably with some Ferrari 296 stuff and such. So just wanted to let you guys know about that. Um, I wanted to talk about Project Motorcars because Project Motorcars actually just um, came out a little over 2-3 weeks ago. And for those of you who don't know, Project Motorcars is the successor to Project Cars and Project Cars 2, not Project Cars 3. And it sort of reminds me of a little bit of GTR and GTR2 and GTR Evo that I played on the PC with my Momo steering wheel, my old one. Um, so I've gone around a couple more tracks. I've gone around Monza. I've gone around Daytona. I've also gone around Lime Rock a few times. I've also gone around Donington Park, my old stomping ground for GTR2. Um, I used to race the GT cars there. Once I get used to how to drive the wheel again, I want to see if I can beat my lap time of a 1 minute and 3 seconds on the national course because that's my record in GT. That's my record in GT4, GTR2. I wasn't able to do that in Project Cars 2 or Simbin because the mechanics were a little different and it was a little more forgiving and stuff like that. So, and I've tested out a bunch more cars. I've tested out a bunch of hypercars from, and I've tested a bunch of the old GT cars and stuff like that. Like I've tested the Aston Martin DBR9, and I've tested like the Mustang, and um, I've also tested a couple of the prototypes like the Panos and the Audi R8. I've also tested the Porsche 962. I've also tried a couple of GT cars around Donington. I tried the Corvette C7R around Lime Rock, and I've done a bunch of, and I also did laps around a little. I said I've done laps around Daytona and a couple of the other tracks. Hockenheim for a little bit. Well, actually not Hockenheim, but Silverstone. In a I did laps around Silverstone in a, was it the Jag or was it a Leicester? I think it might have been a Jag. I think it might have been a either DBR9 or a Lister or something like that. The Lister Storm's in there. Um, and I gotta say, for a lot of people that have been complaining about this game and have really been kind of hard on it, and it sucks because half of the workforce that worked on this game that will be gorgeous by the end of its lifespan in 2 3 years just start laughing right now. Everybody who gave this negative reviews, everybody who gave this thing nasty reviews. I've already done a couple races in it. It's down to how you run the game and how you and what you play on. I play on Xbox, and the reason why I did that is because it's built off. It's Microsoft, so it's built off a PC like structure, and I know a lot of people in the PC community have booed it because the PC has had a lot of problems, and I hope the PC side of things get patched and debugged over time, and then people migrate back to it because I don't think I don't think what a lot of people realize is that this is one of those games that you add on and it gets better over time um, as you go to this. I don't think a lot of people understand that. A lot of people think, oh, it's supposed to be it's a racing game. It's supposed to be finished. It's supposed to be blah 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 blah. Two things. It's not going to, two things. Yes, I'm aware it's not finished. It's not finished. A lot of people, I don't understand why people say finished. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's unfinished because it has a lot of bugs and it doesn't have anything, doesn't have this and all thing. I'm like, of course it is. With anything mechanical um, or anything with a microchip or anything with graphics or whatnot, of course there's going to be a lot of that. I mean, um, a lot of the stuff that a lot of people complain about. Oh, it's like a play game. We spent $100, or we spent $100 on this game, or we patched the year one pass. They're basically saying that we don't have enough content. That is how these racing games evolve. I mean, and there's and this is kind of back to where we wanted to go with Project Cars, because Project Cars 3, I played it. It's Simcade, pretty much dead. What a lot of people don't really, a lot of people who are playing this game have probably either been playing iRacing, which has had its fair share of improvements over time, and probably one of the best sims over time. I know there used to be R Factor. I know there used to be R Factor, R Factor 2, and then eventually iRacing came out, and then Automobilista and Automobilista 2, which are like four or five of the big online gaming, PC style gaming things. And for the PC realm, that's great because people who buy these games have good PCs, they have good steering wheels, and they're mostly YouTube guys who can run this stuff and can afford all of these PC upgrades. While you and were well, you and I, the regular people who don't have a YouTube career, don't have a YouTube following, I'm don't have don't have a million subscribers, don't have 10 billion subscribers, get like half a billion, get like 2 billion hits a year, like PewDiePie does. And people who work regular jobs and actually earn a wage and actually earn a paycheck um, every 2 weeks or either by week or weekly or monthly, whichever one. Not a lot of us want to spend $2,000-3,000 on a computer that we're just gonna have to replace in like 4 or 5, 2 3 years anyway because the tech is out of bounds. And I'm pretty sure the Xbox stuff that we have in the X and the X are pretty outdated. So, but then again, it's Microsoft, so it's built to withstand the test of time. And Microsoft has been around for gazillions of years, so I trust them. And I'm actually sorry to say this, but I think they're better than Sony. And they offer, that Xbox S over there was $350. S was for $350 for 500 gigabytes, which is pretty damn good. And it's way better than this. I know, shots fired. A lot of people are gonna hate me for that, but I think the X is a console that will stand the test of time as long as you take care of it properly, and you don't let it fireball. Yes, there are problems. Yes, I do see some glaring problems. Before you guys start saying yes, there's some glaring problems. There's some things that I don't like about Project Motor Racing, but I'm pretty sure they'll get smoothed over, and we'll get it. I mean, iRacing. I mean, if for those people on iRacing, a lot of people on iRacing will be like, yeah, you guys have no idea what the struggle's like. You guys just think, and I think and I'm watching a lot of people who do Gran Turismo and Forza, and Forza and Gran Turismo are great simulators are great simulation style games. And the reason why I say simulation style is because they're not really simulators. Gran Turismo prides itself on being as the real driving simulator, but you basically you basically go out and race. You stab the throttle. The cars stick like bubblegum. They've been doing that for 20, 30, like 25 years. The physics have gotten a little looser on Gran Turismo, and they're a little bit more realistic on Forza. Like the cars are a little bit more tail happy in Forza. You do actually have to do that, but it only takes a couple of laps versus this game, Project Motor Cars. They actually make you rubber on the track, and some cars do not grip right away. So if you are in, and what I like about this game, and I wish people would kind of look at the physics a little bit and this is as close as they're trying to replicate. When they first started out making this game, they wanted to replicate what it's like to be in a motorsports arena / a motorsports setup. And a lot of the cars are not road cars, not road cars and stuff. I think there's like one road car in the game. I think it's the Praga or something like that with the Nissan engine. They just threw it in there just to make everybody happy, you know. The one thing that I will notice is that the cars are a little skittish, or a little skittish. I think they're going to need to do the tire model a little bit better. They're going to need to let the cars. Um, I think the cars don't need to take like a million laps. I think it took me like 3, 4, maybe 5 laps to get used to the tires and do like that. I'm pretty sure as the time goes on, they're gonna make the cars feel really good. Maybe you'll warm up the tires, maybe 1 or 2 laps, or maybe depending on the track conditions and the weather and all the other stuff, certain cars will come up to temperature, and maybe certain surfaces or maybe certain temperatures will dictate whether you use softs, mediums, or hards. So I expect if you set the temperatures at Lime Rock to be in the hot summer, and you set it to July. I'm hoping that they set it to July. And you can probably, and I wish they would set the degrees that the ambient is. I think PMR can, the Straight 4 development group can do that. I'd like to see them actually do that. Well, get the physics down and then introduce temperature on the track in precise temperatures, so that you can so that making tire choices on certain tracks matters. You just don't slip softs on and you immediately grip. So in the cars grip forever and a day. It's cool to actually have them simulate how loose it will get. See, if you have a greasy track like a Lime Rock, see if you have greasy track and it's not rubbing in properly, it's greasy. The car's going to slide a little bit. It's not going to. It's not really going to. It's going to handle on the limit, and I like that they actually do. When you warm up the car, it depends on what cars. There's some cars like the GT cars, the low end GT cars. takes 2-3 laps to get the tires, 2-3 maybe 4 laps to get the tires warm. And once you rubber it in, you've done a couple laps and you don't slide off the track like you go into the grass. Or if you do transitions of weather, I've done that. I've done it where it's sunny, then it rains, where I have to go into the pits and get rain tires, and then sun again for another couple of laps, and the track dries out again, and the track dries out again. Touching the grass will make the car lose grip. I think that's real. I don't know if it's simulated all that well, but at least it's better than the car just sliding off the track and just saying, "Oh yeah, the grip's all there. We won't notice it. We'll just drive through the grass. Nothing will happen." When you rubber up the tires in this game and you do a bunch of laps, let's say you do like 5, 6, 7 laps in a row, you keep it, you're rubber in the track, the car gets the lap times start going, you can push a little harder. Let's say you drop off the track, you hit the dirt or you hit the grass or you hit a wet patch, you're going to lose grip and the car starts dancing around again. That's real. That's pretty good. I just wish people were. I think it might be down to the people that just hate the bugs and stuff like that. It's going to happen. I'm pretty sure if anybody plays iRacing, people will know that the tire model on certain cars has changed. Certain cameras have changed. Certain mechanics have changed. Certain sounds have changed. So it's not going to be a perfect science because I think what they wanted to do is they want to get the physics right, and then they want to obviously get the rest of the mechanics right, and then go for that. I think this game will be around this game will be developed for maybe 1 to 2 years, and they will do it because I think what they should do is they should do what they did with Project Cars. They should start some things, and then when we get PMR2, the second round, we'll have a game. Probably do the same thing, and then in the game, because I remember Project Cars 2 wasn't all that great either. When it first started, I remember they patched it like 4 or 5 times before they got it correctly. So yeah, I want everybody in the everybody who's in it to just give it a shot, not really bang on it too much, because it is just a game. Because it just is a game. Now, a lot of people uh, who who have reviewed the game and have done motorsports and actually run race cars have said that yeah, it's a little off, and the game won't have it. I know Jimmy Broadbent's probably said that it's not real, that it's real because he's driven BMW GT4s, the Praga R1 and the Praga Cup, so has he has experience actually racing cars that actually you need to warm up and you actually need to do it. You just he's told his audience about a gazillion times. You just can't get a race car and punch the gas and expect the thing to grip like you're in Gran Turismo or in a game or in Grand Theft Auto. You can't think like that. That's how you have to approach this game. I'm pretty sure he was critical of it. I'm pretty sure he said a couple of things, and for somebody who's actually driven race cars, I think he has a point. It can improve on someone, and I think over the next year or two, while it's incubating and developing, and they add more stuff on, and when they add more cars in, they're gonna have to change the physics for certain cars. So I know and depends on certain tracks and lengths and stuff like that. They're gonna have to eventually do certain things because not all cars handle the same. So I think they're gonna do they just released the Group 5 revival thing, and I'm gonna get that, download that, get that, and because I have the year one pass, so I can get it for absolutely Zippo because it's included. So so those cars are going to be a little. So it's different for different cars. So there's different eras of cars. So let's say you get a Le Mans prototype or a LMDH or a GTP or a hypercar. So let's say you get the Toyota or the Aston Martin Valkyrie Those cars are going to be on the knife edge, and those things are really, you really need to warm them up. You really need to warm up the tires. Make sure you understand what the grip levels are. Make sure you understand what the acceleration is. Versus, and then there's cars like the 917 and the Lola T70. Those cars are going to be a little bit more, how should I put it? Those cars are going to be a little bit more, tail happy, and they're going to be a little wilder, and they're going to be a little bit more unruly in their driving, because you have to drive them a certain way, and they're going to physically be different, because one is a prototype with thin tires, and then the 917 has these big gargantuan tires that are probably as wide as I am, in the back. So the cars are going to handle differently, but if you don't warm them up, or you don't really break them in, so to speak, and you don't warm up the shoes, the tires, the racing tires, you're going to do this all day long. And I was sliding with the when I put the power down the 917, and in fact it was a lot harder because of the how big of a contact patch it is. So you go into the wall very fast. You slam into the walls, or you very fast because of the contact patch. Like, you have to watch what you're doing. So, and I'm pretty sure with the Group 5 cars, with their tires, when their tires are a little smaller, pretty sure they're going to be tough. Pretty sure V8, pretty sure when we get the V8 supercars, those things are going to be pretty wild. The Super GTs are from Super GT for in next year is also going to be on there. There's also going to be endurance racing, so there's going to be like day and night cycles, and you're going to learn how certain temperatures affect. So it's not going to be the same. And if they have classic race cars and stuff like that, like cars like the, if they bring back the Lola T40, or they bring back the Camaro Z28 Trans Am car, which I'm pretty sure they will at some point, and not next year's setup, but maybe in year 2 when we get that pass. Probably be another $30. So, just be mindful that it takes time to get these things right, because a lot of people that make these comments haven't been in a race car, or they understand how race cars work, but they've never understood how they feel. Now, I know Super GT, he's been in a race car Jimmy Broadbent's been in a race car. I know there's a couple other people that have been in race cars that have been on YouTube. So those people have an idea, but there's a lot of gamers out there that just sit there and they stick behind the sofa, and they just say, "Oh, this game is incomplete. It's not 100%. It's terrible. They promised this would be gold. This would be made out of gold." Nothing's made out of gold, folks. It never will be. It will only be the best it can be in your eyes, or in the world's eyes, or maybe they were expecting this to be an amazing thing. And if it is a disappointment, and I'm just a fan of motor racing, so I just do what it is. And I know we have a bunch of racing simulators. I know I played Automobilista 2 over somebody's house. I've also played iRacing a little bit. I've also been of the vintage people who have raced the Grand Prix Legends, the old Grand Prix Legends. If you guys really want to race a game, for those of you who are younger, if you guys really want to race a game where it's really cool, and you're racing cars and you're trying to get a feel for them, Grand Prix Motor Racing gives you an exact idea of what driving physics should be and how they were. And this was in a game that came out like 25 years ago, 26 years ago, when the Grand Prix, when did Grand Prix? I think it came out in the late 2000s. Grand Prix Legends came out like in the mid to late 2000s. I think it was like 2004, 2005 ish. This is way before I got full on in Gran Turismo, by the way. And I didn't discover Grand Prix Legends until I played it at a modified museum in Rhode Island. It's, I think, still there. And I've been there. My dad's been there. My grandfather, my grandfather Bill Camone's been there. We've actually, all three of us, been there, and I've seen Bugsy Stevens' car and all the other cool machines from the modified days. And one of the things that we had on the simulator was Grand Prix Legends, and I remember they had the pedal set and then the shifters and everything. We were able to get it to maybe work for maybe 10 laps before the computer decided to have problems. But in the time that I drove it, I knew I wanted it, so eventually I found a program on my computer ages ago. I think this was like 2007, 2008. And I remember, actually, yeah, was it 2006? Yeah, it was 2006, 2007 I did. And I remember I had my desktop, and I remember I had my computer monitor, and I remember I had my Momo racing wheel that I got for GTR2. This was back in 2006, 2007, yeah, this was 2005, 2006, yeah. So this was when I think this was about a year or two after, and I remember getting the wheel, and I remember hooking up the paddle shifters and everything to the, and I remember just feeling how different the cars felt, because when I played a racing game, I remember playing F1 2000 and F1 from 1995. And I remember we had the Mad Cat wheel, and of course you had the shifters on the. Of course you had the sequential shifter, because everything was sequential shift. There was no gear stick back then. I remember that game being tough, but the only reason why that was not so easy was because the physics on the F1 games were a little different. I've done a couple F1 PC games, but I've done like Grand Prix Champions or Grand Prix Heroes or something like that, or Grand Prix 2001 or something like that. I played a few F1 games on PlayStation, so and PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. I think I played F1 Championship 2000 and 2001 or 2002. I remember that. Michael Schumacher all the way, yeah, the Marlboro colors. But when you play Grand Prix Legends, though, in the modern Formula One cars, you have wings, and you have aerodynamic grip, and you have a load of horsepower. You have like 600-700 horsepower. Now, in transition to the 60s, and you had cars like, in the F1 games, the ones I knew, there was Benetton, Williams, Ferrari, Arrows, and Tyrrell, and Pacific, Simtac, and stuff like that. In this game, they had none of that. There was Ferrari, BRM, McLaren wasn't quite in it. I wasn't quite in it. Brabham was in it. They had Cooper. They also had Honda, not Iramura like some of the earlier versions. I got one of the patch versions, one of the decompressed patch versions that actually worked. And I remember jumping in the Lotus, and there was also the Lotus 49. How could affect it? The absolute pinnacle of Grand Prix racing with the Ford DFE. And a lot of cars in that field had V8 engines and stuff like that. Of course, Ferrari had the V12. BRM had the V16. That sounded so ungodly. And then Ferrari had the Iwamura, or the Honda had the RA30. I think it was either the 302 or the 303. I can't remember. I think it was the 302. RA302 had the V12. And I remember each one having its own driving characteristics. Like the BRM was very heavy and very powerful. The Ferrari was very light on its feet, nimble, light as Linguini. It was very good at handling. It could It was a very good straight line car, even though it didn't. It was a very good straight line car. It had very good handling. Brabham was more of a more of a lower end, but it had good handling, but it had very good engine range, and its car was a little, and its motor was a little lighter. Then the V12 on the Honda was a little heavy, and it was kind of technical sounding. And then Cooper, Maserati Cooper, was a V12, and then I think there was also Dan Gurney's Eagle, which had a V12. V12. It was kind of cool. And then of course the Lotus 49 had the 420 horsepower Cosworth DFV. And every car had its own little thing. So, and then the Lotus would be very light on its feet, but it would be very balanced. So you could actually win a lot of races with it. I think I won like 2 races with it because I had Watkins Glen, the old Watkins Glen racetrack. Back then, of course, you could have Hocking. Of course, you could have Spa and Monza. I remember having Spa and Monza because I ended up loading those in via downloads and stuff like that. So I remember having, and depending on, and when you lighten the fuel load, you put different tires on, you change the gear ratios. It affected how the car understood. The only thing that was very scary and very terrifying was when you went to a corner and you had to feed in the throttle. You had to gear down just at the right time. You couldn't really spike the revs, do anything like that because the car would spin, and you couldn't go flat out in bends because if you ever looked at a 1960s Formula One car like 1965, 1966, 67, 68. There's no wings, folks. You have no downforce. The only thing that is keeping you on the ground is gravity. That's about it. So, and if you get it wrong, or if you hit a hill wrong, you crash and you go up into the hay bales, and that's it. And that's it. You instantly have to go back to the pits and break your car. The cars do break apart. Unlike modern racing games where they don't fall apart very well. In fact, the old NASCAR stock car, NASCAR Thunder cars ended up breaking up better than these cars did. In fact, the old Project Cars racing games had better wheel detachments than this. So this is before wheel tethers, folks. So when the wheels flew off, they flew off into the crowd, hitting people. Yes, people did actually die if wheel flew off the car. So there was no tethers, no nothing. It was just nuts and bolts hanging onto everything. That game is very very true to when Project Cars and Project Cars 2, Automobilista, and iRacing got these cars. The cars behave. Oh yes, and also Assetto Corsa. How could I forget Assetto Corsa? Assetto Corsa Evo that's coming out. The cars feel very skittish. If you played Automobilista or if you played Assetto Corsa, you will know that the cars are very skittish. Like they don't like the early Formula One cars really don't like to be driven too hard into a corner or taken around a bend too fast because they'll pirouette and launch into a hay bale off the side of the track. Turning into a rocket fuel missile like it's the war. So and those cars were not easy, and this was before force feedback, by the way. So I've driven Formula One cars on Forza with force feedback, and I've driven cars with force feedback on other racing games with force feedback on with the cars, and it is very difficult to keep a hand on these cars because they have tires that are about this wide. They're about this wide, and they have rear tires that are about this wide. They have a drive shaft, and then they have a gas tank in the middle. So you can only imagine you're basically living in a hot furnace / fuel tank most of the time. That's how scary these cars were. The only thing the cars didn't do in Grand Prix Legends when you crashed is they didn't explode into a big fireball. They didn't leak fuel and then explode into a big fireball. So That's the only thing that wasn't quite realistic. But when you used to drive the cars, and I used to drive them in a lot of these games, I remember in especially in Grand Prix race, in Grand Prix Legends, and in any especially Assetto Corsa. I've done Assetto Corsa on this, and I've driven the Type 49 on Assetto Corsa with the wheel. The car, unless the car is exactly warmed up and the tires are up to snuff, all you're doing is this. You're basically fighting the car like a bull the whole time. So if you guys really, so for those youngsters out there who don't think this is realistic, know that a game back in like 2003, 2004 had the physics and had the scary feel of what Grand Prix racing was like back in the 60s at a much earlier time, and with much better and with graphics that were sort of borderline not so great, but you get what I mean. So and the sounds were pretty darn good for the time. So they got the V12s right, they got the V8s right, they got the 816 off the BRM pretty right. I mean, you couldn't mistake a BRM HR16 or V16. You knew it was a V16, and it sounds like a V16. Although it's been pixelated slash bitted a little bit, but it's very close to what it did in real life. I've listened to Cosworth DFEs. I've listened to V12s. You can do what now a lot of people are probably like, oh, the sounds on this game aren't very good. They'll polish them. Takes time. Forza's done it a couple of times. Pretty sure the pretty sure Gran Turismo has done that with a couple of cars. So just give it time and don't really piss on it too much because it's going to be a real good game when it's polished and it's really good and it's done and it's like what it's going to be, not versus what it's supposed to be, what it is going to end up, what the end result's going to be. Because I knew from the get go that just because you pay $60 doesn't $70 doesn't mean it's going to be finished. You're paying for a product that's going to evolve. Much like the people who are paying early access or getting early access to Assetto Corsa Evo, and those guys have said that it's not been very good, and Assetto Corsa is supposed to be held in high regard, and Assetto Corsa had troubles early, so don't chunk on this thing. It's really good. I feel happy that Simbin and Straight 4 and these guys have come out and they've actually given us something. And I think this is really good. In fact, I think this is even better than the start of this is even better than Project Cars itself. So I stay by peace. If everybody wants to fight me in the comments, everybody wants to make their points, I'm just going to say right now, I'm not going to fight anybody. You guys might be correct. You guys might have a point. It's a due process. It's like anything else that needs fine tuning. So, so it's like anything else, or methods. Methods were never. I mean, the people who did motor racing rules or tires or engines didn't get it right away. They took forever to. I mean, the internal combustion engine started out as a one cylinder, 0.3 horsepower engine, a little bit of a pipsqueak, and now we got cars that have 3 cylinders and can make like 900 horsepower, and with electric motors that can add another 1,000. So it's the internal combustion engine has come a long way. It's had its glitches, so I'm pretty sure this will do the same. So just asking you guys to give this a shot. I know they voted off some people, and shame they had to, because people just didn't think this was so great. Everybody just thinks they're an expert at critiquing games. Just let these people do what they want, let these people do what they want and let it, instead of complaining. I just want to say to all those people that complain about it, I hope you guys are happy that you laid off all these people that worked hard day and night for this game for you, and you don't like it, even though it's not finished and it should be finished, should be wrapped in a gold wrapper and everything like that. It's just, I hope those of you who reviewed it and said that it was garbage and put all those people out of a paycheck that you guys will, that you probably should have gone and talked to them, and probably you could have earned a paycheck developing this game instead of whining about it. So I just, for those of you who are staying on board with it, just give it a chance. For those of people who pissed on this thing and just thought it should have been made out of gold, or it should have been made out of gold, it should have been wrapped in gold, please, just don't ruin it for those people who actually want to see this product do it through, because it takes time. So if anybody has any problems, you can fight me in the comments. You guys can fight me in the comments. I will give you guys what I want. There's obviously a lot of flaws with this game, and it's technology for you. Technology is not perfect, so phones are not perfect, just like humans aren't perfect. So there's not a lot they can do. I'm just willing to bet that they actually put themselves to actually patch this game and put things on this game and make it what it is. So just give it a shot, and shame to those people who put some very hardworking people and some dreamers of the future of sim racing, out of a job. So hope everybody sleeps well. Hope those individuals sleep well tonight. Saying that sarcastically, but yeah. Alrighty, guys. I've already talked long enough. I think I've already been here for like half an hour. Yes, I have been here for 41 minutes. Goddamn. But yeah, I just want to say, everybody, just give it a chance. Maybe those people who did it, like, come back. It's going to take a while, but it'll come back. And it may not be in the first edition of Project Motor Heroes may not be the best thing. They're obviously going to make it. They're going to make a sequel like they did with Project Motor Racing. It's going to happen, folks. I want to see them do this. They can definitely massage this and make this better into a second edition. So yes, I do understand, but I just give it a chance. These guys work themselves, and they just want to see how it is, and they kind of know that it's like this. It's just sad that not a lot of people see that vision. So, but yeah, if anybody wants to fight me in the comment section, go right on ahead. You guys are right on ahead. So that's all I gotta say about that. All right, everybody, I've already talked enough. Long live America, God bless America, long live our freedoms and our rights. I meant to all those people out there that need a light in the darkness, and everybody enjoy their weekend. I'll see you guys for the next one tomorrow. I probably will talk about Pokemon ZA maybe Sunday. I'm going to do a regular vlog tomorrow because I don't want to talk about gaming. Just want to let this one marinate, but I just want to share my thoughts on Project Motor Cars and what I think of it, and maybe there should have been some people out there that should have been a little bit more grateful that this existed, and that there might be another one existing in another couple of years. So, or but for those of you who are still sticking with it, give it a shot. All right, guys, peace out. I'll see you guys later. Have a good day.